This seat is for Marines, not for weak little therapists who think they belong here. Gunnery Sergeant Omar Reddick stands in the middle of the mess hall, arms crossed, blocking the path of a woman holding a food tray. His voice carries across the crowded room. 50 Marines turn their heads. Conversations die. Forks pause mid-air. The woman is Dr. Celine Arden, 32 years old. Civilian contractor badge clipped to her plain navy blouse. She arrived at Camp Lejeune 3 days ago as a strategic psychology consultant. No rank, no uniform, no visible authority. She looks at Reddick with calm eyes. "I am just here to eat," she says quietly. The gunnery sergeant steps closer. He towers over her by nearly a foot. His jaw is tight. His shoulders are squared. Everything about his posture screams dominance. "You heard me, civilian. This is not your place. Women like you do not belong in this building. You do not belong on this base." Celine does not step back. She does not flinch. She simply holds her tray and waits. Reddick's lip curls into a sneer. He looks around at his audience. 50 faces watching. 50 potential witnesses to his authority. He needs to make a statement. His shoulder drives forward. The impact is brutal. Celine stumbles backward. Her tray flies from her hands. Mashed potatoes splatter across the floor. Her glass of water shatters. She hits the ground hard, palms scraping against the concrete. The mess hall erupts. Laughter bounces off the walls. Marines slam their tables. Someone throws a bread roll that hits Celine's shoulder. Another piece of food follows, then another. "Go home, civilian. This is what happens when you wander where you do not belong. Stick to your little therapy office." Reddick stands over her like a predator surveying fallen prey. His chest swells with satisfaction. Around him, his brothers in arms celebrate his dominance. This is his kingdom, his territory, and he has just defended it. Celine remains on the floor for exactly 3 seconds. Then she moves. Her palms press flat against the concrete. Her core engages. She rises in one fluid motion. No wasted movement, no scrambling. It is the kind of controlled recovery that comes from thousands of repetitions. The kind drilled into operators who train to get back up no matter what knocks them down. She stands. She brushes food from her blouse with methodical precision. Left shoulder, right shoulder, front. Her movements are economical, practiced. No one notices. No one except Lieutenant Theo Mercer. The young officer sits 3 tables away, fork frozen halfway to his mouth. His eyes narrow as he watches the woman. Something is wrong with this picture. Something does not fit. A civilian who just got shoved to the ground by a 200-pound Marine should be shaking, should be crying, should be looking for the nearest exit. This woman is doing none of those things. Mercer watches her fingers as she adjusts her badge. The grip is precise. Index and middle finger forming a specific angle. He has seen that grip before. On the range, on operators who handle weapons for a living. Celine finishes brushing herself off. She looks at Reddick. Her face shows nothing. No fear, no anger, no humiliation. Just patience, like someone waiting for a bus that is running late. "Are you done?" she asks. Reddick blinks. This is not the reaction he expected. Civilians break. They cry. They run. They do not stand there asking if he is finished. "What did you say to me?" "I asked if you are done, because I would still like to eat." The mess hall goes quiet. Even the Marines who were laughing moments ago sense something shifting. The air feels different, charged. Reddick recovers quickly. He forces a laugh. "Look at this. The therapist thinks she is tough." He turns to his audience, arms spread wide. "Did you hear that? She still wants to eat." More laughter, but it sounds forced now, uncertain. Reddick steps closer to Celine, close enough that she can smell the coffee on his breath. "Let me make this clear, sweetheart. You are nothing here. You have no rank, no authority, no right to breathe the same air as us. The only reason you are on this base is because some pencil pusher in Washington thinks we need our heads examined." He jabs a finger toward the door. "So take your little clipboard and your little theories and get out of my mess hall before I make you." Celine holds his gaze for a long moment. Then she does something unexpected. She smiles. It is not a nervous smile, not a placating smile. It is the smile of someone who knows something no one else in the room knows. A secret that changes everything. "Understood, Sergeant," she says softly. "I will find somewhere else to eat." She turns and walks toward the exit. Her stride is unhurried. Her shoulders are straight. She does not look back. Reddick watches her go. a triumphant grin spreading across his face. He raises his arms in victory. "And that is how you handle civilians." The mess hall cheers. Marines clap him on the back. Someone hands him a fresh cup of coffee. The natural order has been restored. But Mercer is not cheering. He is staring at the door Celine just walked through. Specifically, he is staring at the way she walked. Heel to toe, weight-centered, arms loose but ready. That is not how therapists walk. That is how soldiers walk. If you are wondering why a civilian who just got humiliated in front of 50 Marines is smiling instead of crying, you are asking the right question. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the thanks button to support us. Because what happens next will change everything you think you know about this woman. The next morning, Celine arrives at the base psychological services office at 6:45 a.m., 15 minutes before anyone else. She unlocks the door with her temporary key card. The light blinks green. She enters. The office is small. Government-issue desk, metal filing cabinet, 2 chairs for consultations, a window overlooking the parade ground where Marines are already running drills. She sets her bag on the desk, removes a laptop, opens it. Her fingers move across the keyboard with practiced speed. She is not checking emails. She is running a program that should not exist on a civilian contractor's computer. Lines of code scroll across the screen. Encrypted data packets. Communication logs. She works for 7 minutes. Then she closes the program and opens a standard psychological evaluation template. When her first appointment arrives at 7:15 a.m., she looks exactly like what she is supposed to be. A mild-mannered therapist ready to discuss stress management and coping mechanisms. The Marine who enters is young, barely 20. His name is Private First Class Danny Webb. He sits across from her with nervous energy bouncing his knee. "I do not really know why I am here," he admits. "They just told me I had to come." Celine offers a gentle nod. "That is fine. We can just talk. No pressure." For the next 45 minutes, she listens. She asks questions. She takes notes. She is good at this. Genuinely good. Her questions are thoughtful. Her observations are sharp. But part of her mind is elsewhere. Part of her mind is calculating, analyzing, mapping the power structures of this base, identifying who talks to whom, who defers to whom, who fears whom. And at the center of that web sits Gunnery Sergeant Omar Reddick. Webb mentions him without prompting. "He is kind of a legend around here," the young Marine says. 15 years in, 3 combat deployments. Everyone respects him. "Respects him," Celine repeats. "Or fears him?" Webb hesitates, just for a moment, but Celine catches it. "Both, I guess." She files that information away. At 8:30 a.m., Webb leaves. Celine has 12 minutes before her next appointment. She uses them to review the personnel files she has access to. Reddick's file is thick. Commendations, awards, letters of recommendation. But there are also gaps, periods of time that are redacted, deployments that list no specific location. One notation catches her eye. A reference to something called Operation Hollow Mirror. The text is blacked out, but the date is visible. 7 years ago. Celine stares at those words for a long moment. Her jaw tightens. Her hand, resting on the desk, curls into a fist. Then she releases it, breathes, returns to the neutral mask she wears so well. Her next appointment arrives. Another Marine, another conversation, another piece of the puzzle. By noon, the mess hall incident has become legend. Celine walks into the cafeteria and every head turns. Conversations stop. Forks pause. She ignores them all. She gets her tray, selects her food, moves toward an empty table in the corner. But before she can sit down, a group of Marines stands up from their seats. They move to block the table. "Sorry," one of them says with a smile that is not sorry at all. "This table is reserved." Celine looks at the next table. Another group stands. This one too, and the next. Occupied. She stands in the middle of the mess hall, tray in hand, as every available seat suddenly becomes unavailable. The message is clear. You are not welcome here. Reddick watches from across the room. He does not participate directly. He does not have to. His soldiers handle it for him. He just leans back in his chair, arms crossed, enjoying the show. Celine surveys the room. 50 hostile faces staring back at her. She walks to the wall, sets her tray on the narrow ledge beneath the window, and eats standing up. She does not rush, does not hide. She eats her meal calmly, methodically, as if this is exactly what she planned to do. Mercer watches from his table. The young lieutenant has not joined the blockade. He has not defended her either. He just observes, trying to figure out what he is seeing. The woman finishes her lunch, returns her tray, walks out. She never once looked at Reddick. That bothers the gunnery sergeant more than he wants to admit. The social isolation intensifies over the next 3 days. When Celine enters a room, people leave. When she asks questions, she gets one-word answers. When she needs access to files for her evaluations, the requests are delayed. Lost. Misfiled. She documents everything, every snub, every obstacle, every petty act of exclusion. Her notebook fills with observations written in a cipher that looks like standard shorthand, but is actually something far more complex. On day 4, the professional attacks begin. She arrives at her office to find her security badge deactivated. "System error," the MP at the gate tells her. "You will need to get a new one issued." How long will that take? Could be a few hours, could be a few days. Depends on how busy admin is. She waits. 6 hours. In a holding area near the main gate, like a criminal awaiting processing. When her new badge finally arrives, the clearance level has been downgraded. She no longer has access to the North Wing, the sector that houses senior staff offices and secure communications. Another system error, the admin clerk explains with a shrug that suggests it is anything but. Celine accepts the badge without argument. That night, she returns to her temporary quarters and opens her encrypted laptop. She spends 3 hours mapping the connections between Reddick and the administrative staff, following the trail of favors and debts that allowed her access to be revoked. The pattern is clear. Reddick has allies everywhere. A network of loyalty built over 15 years of service. One word from him and doors close. One nod and careers are made or broken. He is not just a bully, he is a power broker. And he has decided that Celine Arden needs to be pushed out. On day 6, the accusations begin. Celine is conducting a routine evaluation when 2 military police officers appear at her door. "Dr. Arden, we need you to come with us." "May I ask why?" "There has been a report. Contraband found in your quarters." She does not protest, does not argue. She simply saves her work, closes her laptop, and follows them. Her quarters have been searched. The mattress is overturned. Her clothes are scattered across the floor. Her personal items are spread across the desk, and sitting in plain view is a small plastic bag containing 3 pills. "Controlled substance," the MP says. "Care to explain?" Celine looks at the pills. Her expression does not change. "Those are not mine. They were found in your quarters." "I understand. They are still not mine." The MP exchanges a glance with his partner. They expected denial. What they did not expect was the complete lack of panic. "You are going to have to come with us for questioning." "Of course." She spends the next 4 hours in an interrogation room. The questions are repetitive, designed to catch inconsistencies, to wear her down. She answers each one with the same calm precision. Her story never changes. Her demeanor never cracks. Finally, an officer she has not seen before enters the room. Major Isaac Vorn, intelligence insignia on his collar, cold eyes that miss nothing. He sits across from her, studies her for a long moment. "Dr. Arden, your background check is interesting." "Oh?" "Most civilian contractors have straightforward files. Education, employment history, references. Yours has gaps. My previous work involved sensitive projects, confidentiality agreements. That is what the file says. But when I tried to verify those projects," he leans forward. "I hit walls. Not just classified material. Walls that should not exist for a psychology consultant." Celine meets his gaze. "I cannot speak to how your verification systems work, Major." "No, I suppose you cannot." He stands, walks to the door, pauses. "The contraband charges will be dropped. Insufficient evidence. Someone was careless about covering their tracks. I appreciate that. Do not thank me yet, Dr. Arden. I have questions about you, questions I intend to answer." He leaves. Celine remains in the room for another 10 minutes, processing, calculating, adjusting her timeline. Vorn is a variable she did not fully anticipate. An intelligence officer asking the right questions could complicate everything, but complications can also be opportunities. Word spreads quickly that the contraband charges were dropped. Reddick is furious. How? He demands of his inner circle. They are gathered in the motor pool, away from prying eyes. I set that up perfectly. 3 separate witnesses saw those pills in her bag. The witnesses changed their stories, one of his men reports. Said they could not be certain what they saw. That is impossible. I handpicked those guys. Someone got to them. Someone with more pull than you. Reddick's face darkens. He has run this base like his personal kingdom for years. The idea that someone might have more influence is intolerable. Find out who, and find another way to get rid of her. His men exchange glances. One of them speaks up. Why do you care so much about one civilian therapist? She is nobody. Reddick turns slowly. His eyes are hard. Because she looked at me. In the mess hall. After I put her on the ground. She looked at me like I was nothing. Like I was an insect she would deal with later. He jabs a finger at his subordinate's chest. Nobody looks at me like that. Nobody. Especially not some civilian woman who thinks she belongs here. The soldier nods quickly. Understood, Sergeant. Good. Now get out there and make her life miserable. I want her off this base by the end of the week. Day 7 brings escalation. Celine's evaluation reports are rejected. All of them. Every single assessment she has submitted over the past week comes back marked insufficient documentation. I followed the standard template, she tells the administrative officer. New requirements came down from command. Your reports do not meet the updated criteria. What updated criteria? The officer shrugs. Above my pay grade, you will need to redo everything. 7 days of work, erased with a bureaucratic stamp. Celine accepts the rejection notices without visible reaction. Returns to her office, begins the process of reformatting her reports. But when she opens her computer, she finds something new. Her access to the psychological evaluation database has been revoked. Without it, she cannot file any reports at all. She sits back in her chair, looks out the window at the parade ground. The trap is closing. Every day, another avenue is cut off. Another resource is removed. The message is clear: leave voluntarily or be pushed out. A knock at her door interrupts her thoughts. Lieutenant Mercer stands in the doorway. He looks uncomfortable, conflicted. Dr. Arden, do you have a minute? Of course, Lieutenant. Please sit down. He enters but does not sit. Instead, he closes the door, lowers his voice. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Celine waits. In the mess hall, after Reddick pushed you, the way you got up, the way you moved. He pauses, searches for words. That was not normal. That was not how civilians move. What are you suggesting, Lieutenant? I am not suggesting anything. I am asking, who are you really? Celine regards him for a long moment, this young officer with his sharp eyes and inconvenient questions. I am exactly who my file says I am, Lieutenant, a civilian psychology consultant. Your file. Mercer pulls out his phone. I tried to run a deeper check on your credentials, standard verification for civilian contractors. Do you want to know what came back? He shows her the screen. Access denied. Red Omega classified. Do not attempt again. Red Omega, he says quietly. I have been in the military for 6 years. I have never even heard of a classification called Red Omega, and I have definitely never seen it attached to a civilian contractor. Celine looks at the screen, then back at Mercer. Where did you access this? Base security terminal. I have clearance for contractor background checks. And now you have a flag on your record for attempting to access restricted information. Mercer blinks. What? That warning is not just about my file, Lieutenant. It is about you. Whoever monitors Red Omega classifications now knows you are asking questions. The young officer pales. He did not consider that possibility. Celine stands, walks to the window. Her back is to him. Lieutenant Mercer, you seem like a good officer, observant, thoughtful, willing to question things that do not add up. She turns to face him. Those are valuable qualities. Do not waste them by digging into matters that could end your career before it truly begins. But I am not your enemy. I am not anyone's enemy on this base. What I am is someone doing a job that requires me to appear exactly as I appear. Do you understand? Mercer stares at her. The pieces are not fitting together, but he can see the outline of something larger, something that extends far beyond a simple harassment campaign. Reddick, he says slowly. This is not about Reddick, is it? You are here for something else. Celine's expression does not change, but something in her eyes shifts, just for a moment. Goodbye, Lieutenant. I suggest you forget this conversation ever happened. Mercer just discovered that a simple civilian therapist has a classification level higher than generals. But what does she really want on this base? Comment your theory below. And stay with us, because the answer is about to change everything. Day 8. The pressure reaches a breaking point. Celine is summoned to appear before an investigative board. The charge, violation of security protocols. The hearing room is small. Fluorescent lights hum overhead. 3 officers sit behind a long table. Colonel Patricia Hendricks presides, flanked by Major Vorn and Captain Rodriguez. Celine sits alone on the other side. No advocate, no representative, just her and the accusations. Colonel Hendricks reads from a folder. Dr. Arden, you are accused of accessing restricted areas without proper clearance, of removing classified documents from secure locations, of making unauthorized copies of sensitive personnel files. I did none of those things, Colonel. We have witnesses. Then your witnesses are mistaken, or lying. Hendricks looks up from the folder. Her eyes are sharp, assessing. That is a serious accusation, Doctor. So is calling me a security threat without evidence. Major Vorn leans forward. Your access logs show you attempted to enter the North Wing Communications Center 3 times last week. Attempted. My badge was denied each time, as you would see in those same logs. Perhaps you found another way in. If I had, there would be evidence. Camera footage, biometric records, entry logs that show successful access rather than denied access. Celine's voice remains calm, measured. There is no such evidence because no such entry occurred. The officers exchange glances. The woman is right. They have accusations. They have witnesses. But they do not have hard proof. Colonel Hendricks closes the folder. Dr. Arden, I am going to be direct with you. Someone on this base wants you gone. That much is obvious. The question is whether their reasons are personal or legitimate. I was not aware those were mutually exclusive, Colonel. A flicker of something crosses Hendricks's face. Respect, perhaps, or recognition. This hearing is suspended pending further investigation. You are restricted to your quarters and the Psychological Services Office until further notice. Your access privileges remain downgraded. Is that understood? Perfectly. Then you are dismissed. Celine stands, walks toward the door. Dr. Arden? She stops, turns. Vorn is staring at her with those cold, calculating eyes. I ran your name through every database I have access to. Military, intelligence, federal, international. He pauses. You do not exist, not really. You are a ghost. A cover story wrapped in paperwork. Celine holds his gaze. Perhaps you are not looking in the right places, Major. Or perhaps the right places are above my clearance level. She does not respond, simply turns and walks out. Behind her, the 3 officers sit in silence. Finally, Colonel Hendricks speaks. Thoughts? Vorn shakes his head slowly. I have been in intelligence for 12 years. I know how to read people, and I cannot read her. That terrifies me. Should we push forward with the investigation? I do not think we should. I think we should be very careful about what doors we open, because whoever that woman really is, she did not end up on this base by accident. Celine returns to her quarters. The sun is setting. Orange light spills through the small window, painting the walls in shades of fire. She sits on the edge of her bed, removes her shoes, flexes her feet. For the first time since arriving, she allows herself to feel the weight of what she is carrying. 7 years. 7 years since Operation Hollow Mirror. Since 12 members of her unit were killed in an ambush that should have been impossible. Since she pulled herself out of the rubble with 3 broken ribs and a bullet wound in her shoulder and crawled 2 miles to extraction. 7 years of searching, of hunting, of pretending to be someone else while she tracked the threads of betrayal back to their source. And now those threads have led her here, to this base, to Reddick. He is not the mastermind. She knows that. He is a runner, a messenger, a useful pawn in a much larger game. But pawns know things. Pawns hear whispers. Pawns can be turned into witnesses. She reaches into her bag, pulls out a small metal object, a challenge coin, worn and scratched. One side bears the emblem of a unit that officially does not exist. The other side is engraved with a motto in Latin. She runs her thumb across the surface, remembering the faces of the people who carried identical coins, people who trusted her, people who died because someone sold their location to the enemy. Tomorrow the investigation will continue. Tomorrow more accusations will come. Tomorrow Reddick and his allies will push harder. But tomorrow is also day 9. And on day 9, something will change. She just has to survive until then. Morning arrives cold and gray. Celine is escorted to the mess hall by 2 MPs, not arrested, just observed. The official explanation is protective custody. The real explanation is humiliation. She walks between her guards, head high, eyes forward. Every Marine in the building watches her pass. The whispers are loud enough to hear. Heard she is a spy. Probably selling secrets to someone. Reddick was right about her all along. She gets her breakfast tray, finds the same spot by the wall, eats standing up. Reddick makes his entrance 10 minutes later. He walks straight toward her. His expression is triumphant. Well, well, the spy finally got caught. Celine continues eating, does not look at him. What is wrong? Nothing clever to say? He steps closer. You know, I always knew there was something wrong with you. No normal woman is that calm when she gets pushed around. No normal civilian has files that nobody can access. Still no response. Reddick's jaw tightens. Her silence is an insult. Worse than anything she could say. Look at me when I am talking to you. Celine finishes her coffee, sets down the cup, finally meets his eyes. Are you done, Sergeant? The same words she said a week ago. The same calm tone, the same patient expression. Something snaps in Reddick. He grabs her wrist, hard, yanks her toward him. I asked you a question. Who are you? Who sent you here? What are you really after? The mess hall goes silent. Even Reddick's allies look uncomfortable. This is crossing a line. Physical contact with a civilian under investigation, in front of dozens of witnesses. Celine does not resist, does not pull away. She simply looks at his hand on her wrist, then back at his face. You should let go, Sergeant. Or what? You will report me? He laughs. Who is going to believe a spy over a 15-year veteran? I was not thinking about reports. Then what were you thinking? She leans closer, close enough that only he can hear. I was thinking that you have no idea what you are touching. For a moment, just a moment, something flickers in Reddick's eyes. Not quite fear, but uncertainty. Then he shoves her backward. She stumbles but keeps her feet. Get out of my mess hall and start packing, because by the end of today, you are going to be off this base and out of my life forever. Celine straightens her blouse, picks up her tray, returns it to the collection area. She walks out without looking back. But this time, something is different. This time, she knows the end is coming. The summons arrives at 11:45 a.m., an official communication. High priority. Celine is required to appear before a full investigative tribunal at 1300 hours. All evidence will be presented. A final determination will be made regarding her continued presence on the base. She reads the message twice, then closes her laptop. In her quarters, she changes into a fresh blouse. Dark blue, professional. She brushes her hair, checks her reflection. The woman in the mirror looks exactly like what she has pretended to be for the past week, a civilian contractor. Out of her depth, facing forces she cannot overcome. But beneath the surface, something else is stirring. Celine opens her bag, removes a small case. Inside is a single item she has not touched since arriving, her real identification. She does not put it on. Not yet. But she holds it for a moment, feels its weight. Soon. At 12:45 p.m. she walks to the tribunal building. The MPs escort her as always. But today their presence feels different. Less like surveillance, more like ceremony. The hearing room is larger than before. A full panel of officers sits behind an elevated platform. Colonel Hendricks presides. Major Vorn is present, and seated in the front row, wearing a satisfied smile, is Gunnery Sergeant Omar Reddick. Celine takes her position at the defendant's table, alone. Colonel Hendricks calls the tribunal to order. Dr. Celine Arden, you are here to answer charges of security violations, unauthorized access to classified materials, and conduct unbecoming a contracted civilian employee of the United States military. How do you plead? Celine stands. Not guilty, Colonel. Very well. The prosecution may present its evidence. Major Vorn rises. He spends the next 30 minutes laying out the case. Witness statements, access logs, the planted contraband, a pattern of suspicious behavior. It is thorough, professional, damning. When he finishes, Colonel Hendricks turns to Celine. The defendant may now present her defense. Celine stands. She looks at the panel, at Vorn, at Reddick. Before I begin, Colonel, I have a procedural question. Go ahead. Are all relevant parties present for this tribunal? Everyone who has been involved in the investigation? Hendricks frowns. The relevant officers are here. Why do you ask? Because I want to make sure that when the truth comes out, everyone who needs to hear it is in this room. A murmur ripples through the assembly. Reddick's smile falters. Celine reaches for the collar of her blouse. Her fingers find the top button. I have been called a spy, a security risk, an infiltrator. She undoes the button, then the next. I have been accused of accessing places I should not access, of knowing things I should not know. The room goes still. The truth is, you are right. I am not who I claim to be. She pulls her sleeve up, past her wrist, past her forearm, and there, on her inner arm, black against her pale skin, is a tattoo. Not just any tattoo, the emblem of the Joint Special Reconnaissance Group, a unit so classified that most of the officers in this room have never heard of it. Below the emblem, a designation, SG-12. Reddick's face goes white. Vorn's eyes widen. Colonel Hendricks half rises from her seat, and at that exact moment, the doors at the back of the room swing open. 4 figures enter, 4 officers, general stars gleaming on their shoulders, 4 of the highest-ranking military officials in the region, General Wesley Throne, General Evelyn Cross, General Harrison Renford, General Andrew Yates. They walk down the center aisle in formation. The room scrambles to attention. Officers leap to their feet. Salutes snap into place. The 4 generals reach the front of the room. And then, in perfect unison, they turn to face Celine and salute her first. The room goes completely still. No one moves. No one breathes. Celine returns the salute with crisp precision. At ease, generals, she says quietly. I was just about to explain things. General Throne steps forward. His voice carries through the silent room. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Commander Celine Arden, SG-12, Joint Special Reconnaissance Group. Her security clearance is Red Omega, the highest classification level in existence. He pauses. Every person in this room, including myself, answers to her authority. Reddick looks like he's about to collapse. His face has gone from white to gray. His hands are trembling. Colonel Hendricks finds her voice. Commander, I had no idea. The accusations were manufactured, Celine finishes, by someone in this room who had reason to want me gone. Her eyes find Reddick. Someone who did not realize that every move he made was being documented. Every conspiracy was being recorded. Every thread was being traced back to its source. Reddick takes a step backward, then another. No, he whispers. No, this is impossible. You are just a therapist. You are just... I am the woman you shoved to the ground in the mess hall, Celine says calmly. I am the woman you tried to frame for contraband possession. I am the woman you have spent the past week trying to destroy. She takes a step toward him. And I am the woman who is going to find out exactly who you have been working for, who you have been selling information to, and what happened to the 12 members of my unit who died because someone betrayed us 7 years ago. Reddick's back hits the wall. Celine stops, looks at him with those calm, patient eyes. So, Gunnery Sergeant Reddick, are we done, or would you like to continue? The mess hall is silent when Celine walks through it 2 hours later. Every Marine present stands at attention. No one throws food. No one blocks her path to a table. She gets her tray, selects her food, walks to the center of the room. This time, when she looks for a seat, a dozen chairs are pulled out for her. She chooses the one closest to where Reddick used to hold court, sits down, begins to eat. Lieutenant Mercer approaches. He stands at attention until she nods for him to sit. "Commander, I do not even know what to say." "Then do not say anything, Lieutenant. Just eat." He sits, picks up his fork, sets it down. "You knew, the whole time. You knew everything that was happening, and you just let it happen." "I had to. The only way to find the bigger target was to let the smaller ones reveal themselves." She takes a sip of water. Reddick is a messenger, a runner. He does not know who he really works for. But now that he has been caught, he will talk. And when he talks, I will find the next link in the chain. The next link? Celine's eyes grow distant. There is someone out there. Someone we call Ghostline. 7 years ago, that person sold the location of my unit to enemy forces. 12 people died. I was supposed to be one of them. But you survived. I survived. And I have spent every day since then hunting for the person responsible. She looks at Mercer. Reddick is connected to Ghostline. I do not know how yet, but I will find out. And then? Celine does not answer. She does not need to. That evening, in a secure communications room, Celine meets with the 4 generals. General Throne does most of the talking. Ghostline is active again. We have intercepted communications suggesting a major intelligence leak. Someone inside our military infrastructure is selling deployment plans, strategic assessments, operational timelines. How major? Celine asks. Major enough to compromise 3 ongoing operations. Major enough that people have died. General Cross speaks up. Her voice is tight with emotion. Celine, when we lost contact with you after Hollow Mirror, we thought you were dead. For 2 years you were listed as killed in action. I needed to disappear. The only way to hunt a ghost is to become one. And now? Celine looks at each of them in turn. Now I am here, and I am going to finish what I started 7 years ago. General Yates nods slowly. What do you need from us? Access, resources, and most importantly, trust. I'm going to be asking uncomfortable questions, investigating people who should not be investigated. If anyone tries to stop me, she pauses. I need to know you will have my back. The 4 generals exchange glances. General Throne speaks for all of them. You have it, Commander. Whatever you need. Celine nods, stands, walks toward the door. Commander, General Yates calls out. One more thing. She turns. Be careful. Ghostline has evaded capture for 7 years. Whoever they are smart, they are connected, and they will do anything to protect themselves. Celine's expression does not change. So will I. Later that night, in her quarters, Celine opens her encrypted laptop. A message is waiting. No sender identification. No traceable origin. Just 4 words. Welcome back, SG-12. She stares at the screen for a long moment. Then she types a reply. I never left. She closes the laptop, turns off the light, lies in darkness. Tomorrow, the real hunt begins. The interrogation room is bare. Concrete walls, a single metal table. 2 chairs bolted to the floor. Gunnery Sergeant Omar Reddick sits in one of them. His wrists are cuffed to a steel ring welded to the table surface. His face is pale. His eyes dart toward the door every few seconds. He has been waiting for 47 minutes. The door opens. Celine enters alone. She carries a single folder, thin, unremarkable. She sets it on the table and takes the seat across from him. For a long moment, neither speaks. Reddick breaks first. This is a mistake. I am a 15-year veteran. 3 combat deployments, commendations, awards. You cannot just... I can. Celine's voice is quiet, calm. And I am. She opens the folder, removes a photograph, slides it across the table. Do you recognize this location? Reddick glances at the image. A compound, desert terrain, burnt vehicles. His jaw tightens. No. You should. You were there. Operation Hollow Mirror. 7 years ago. You were assigned to the support element, communications relay. That operation is classified. It was. Until 12 people died because someone leaked their position to the enemy. Celine pulls out another photograph. bodies covered with tarps, military personnel standing in shock. My unit, my people, gone in 13 minutes because someone told the enemy exactly where to find them. Reddick's breathing has changed, faster, shallower. I do not know what you are talking about. You were the communications relay, Sergeant. Every message that went in or out of that operation passed through your equipment. She leans forward, including the one that killed my team. That is insane. I processed hundreds of messages. I had no idea what any of them contained. Maybe not, but you knew who you were sending them to. She pulls out a third document, a communication log. This is a record of encrypted transmissions from your station during Hollow Mirror. Most of them went to authorized recipients, but 3 of them, she taps the paper, 3 of them went to an unlisted node, a ghost address that should not exist. Reddick stares at the log. His face has gone from pale to gray. I want a lawyer. You are not under arrest. This is not a criminal proceeding. This is a conversation between 2 people who were both present during an operation that went catastrophically wrong. Celine's eyes bore into his. One of us lost everything that night. The other one walked away and built a career on the bodies of the dead. I did not betray anyone. Then explain the transmissions. I cannot, or will not. Reddick's hands ball into fists. The cuffs clank against the metal ring. You do not understand. There are people, powerful people. If I talk, I am dead. My family is dead. Everyone I have ever known is dead. Celine sits back, studies him. You are already dead, Sergeant. The moment you sent those transmissions, you became a liability. The only question is whether you die as a traitor or as a witness. She closes the folder. Help me find who gave you those orders. Help me find Ghostline, and I will do everything in my power to protect you. Reddick's eyes are wet. His voice cracks. You cannot protect me from this. I have survived 7 years of hunting shadows. I have buried friends. I have lost everything except my mission. She leans forward again. Try me. The silence stretches. 10 seconds, 20. Finally, Reddick speaks. I do not know who Ghostline is. I never knew. All I know is the orders came from someone with stars, someone high up, someone who could make things happen without leaving fingerprints. A general. I do not know. Maybe. Probably. He swallows hard. The transmissions you found, I did not know what they contained. I was just told to relay them. No questions. In return, certain things happened for me. Promotions, assignments, my record stayed clean no matter what I did. Someone was protecting you. Someone was owning me. Reddick looks down at his cuffed hands. I have been trying to get out for years. Every time I think I am free, something pulls me back. A message, a favor requested, a reminder that they know where my sister lives, where my nephew goes to school. Celine processes this information. The pattern is familiar. Classic handler behavior. Keep the assets scared, keep them compliant, never let them see enough to be dangerous. The messages you have been relaying recently, from this base, who receives them? I do not know. I send them to a drop address. Someone picks them up. I never see who. But someone on this base gives you those messages. Reddick hesitates, then nods. Who? He looks at the door, at the walls, at the ceiling, searching for cameras, for listening devices, for any sign that speaking the name will sign his death warrant. One of them, he whispers. One of the generals. Celine's blood runs cold. Which one? I do not know. They never show their face when they contact me. But the clearance codes they use, only a general would have access to those protocols. One of the 4 generals who saluted her 2 hours ago is Ghostline. One of the people she trusted with her mission is the person who murdered her team. Celine stands, walks to the door, pauses. Thank you, Sergeant. Your cooperation will be noted. Wait. Reddick's voice is desperate. What happens to me now? She does not turn around. That depends on what happens next. The secure briefing room is empty when Celine arrives. She requested this meeting. All 4 generals. No staff. No witnesses. She has 45 minutes to identify a traitor. General Throne arrives first, then Cross, then Renford, finally Yates. They take their seats around the conference table. 4 of the most powerful military leaders in the region. 4 people who theoretically answer to her authority. One of them is a murderer. Celine stands at the head of the table. She has the folder from Reddick's interrogation. She has additional files gathered over the past week. She has 7 years of accumulated evidence, and she has instinct. "Thank you for coming," she begins. "I will be brief." "What is this about, Commander?" General Renford asks. He is the oldest of the four. White hair, weathered face, career military written in every line. "It is about Hollow Mirror." Celine watches their reactions. "Specifically, it is about the intelligence leak that killed my unit." General Cross shifts in her seat. "Celine, we have been over this. Every investigation concluded that every investigation was compromised." Celine opens her folder. "I have spent 7 years tracking the source of that leak, following threads, eliminating possibilities. And now," she pulls out a document. "Now I have proof." She slides the paper across the table. Communication logs, timestamps, routing codes. These are transmissions from this base, encrypted, classified, routed through cut-out addresses to foreign intelligence services. She pauses. "Someone in this room authorized those transmissions." The silence is absolute. General Throne speaks first. "Commander, these are serious accusations. Do you have evidence beyond communication logs?" "I have a witness. Gunnery Sergeant Reddick has agreed to cooperate. He has been the relay point for these transmissions for years, and he has confirmed that his handler uses general-level clearance codes. 4 faces, 4 expressions. Throne looks concerned, Cross looks troubled, Renford looks angry, Yates looks calm, too calm. Celine focuses on him. General Andrew Yates, 54 years old, intelligence background, 3 decades of service." "General Yates, you were the intelligence liaison for Hollow Mirror. You had access to our operational coordinates." "As did 50 other people," Yates replies smoothly, "including Generals Throne and Cross. But you were the one who recommended the communications relay setup. You personally selected Reddick for that assignment. He was qualified. He was compromised, and you knew it." The room goes still. Yates meets her gaze, holds it. "Commander Arden, you have been through a traumatic experience, losing your unit. That kind of loss can distort perception, create patterns where none exist. Is that your professional assessment?" "It is my observation, based on decades of watching good officers break under the weight of survivors' guilt." Celine does not flinch. "I am not broken, General. I am focused." She pulls out another document. "This is a financial analysis. Offshore accounts, shell companies, money flowing from foreign sources to domestic recipients." She slides it across the table. "One of those accounts is registered to a trust fund. The beneficiary is listed as A. Yates Jr., your son, General." The mask cracks, just for a moment, just enough. Yates's jaw tightens, his eyes narrow. The smooth composure ripples. "That is circumstantial at best. Anyone could have what? Created a trust fund in your son's name? Funneled money through companies that trace back to foreign intelligence services?" Celine shakes her head. "You are Ghostline, General. You have been selling American secrets for at least a decade. And 7 years ago, you sold my unit's location to people who wanted us dead." Yates looks at the other generals, then at Celine, then at the door. "You are smart," he says finally. His voice has changed. The smooth politician is gone. Something colder has emerged. "You are as smart as your father was, maybe smarter." Celine goes still. "My father? He figured it out too, 20 years ago. Got too close to the truth." Yates smiles. It does not reach his eyes. "Car accident. Very tragic, very convenient." The words hit Celine like a physical blow. Her father died when she was 12. A car accident on a mountain road. No witnesses, no explanation. Not an accident. Never an accident. "You killed him? Arranged it? Does it matter?" Yates stands slowly. "What matters is that you made the same mistake he did. You came alone. You thought evidence and truth would be enough." He reaches into his jacket. "They never are." His hand emerges holding a small device. A detonator. "This room is wired. Has been for years. Insurance policy." His thumb hovers over the trigger. "In about 30 seconds, there will be a tragic accident. Gas leak. Explosion. 4 generals and 1 decorated commander killed in the line of duty." General Throne lunges forward. "Andrew, You cannot. I can. I have. And I will continue to do so. Yates backs toward the door. The network I serve is bigger than any of you can imagine. Taking me down will not stop them. It will only make them angry. Celine calculates distances, angles, probabilities. She has maybe 3 seconds to act. General Cross, she says quietly. The ventilation panel behind you. Now. Cross does not hesitate. She spins and kicks the panel free. Celine moves. Her hand closes around the folder on the table. She throws it at Yates's face. Not to hurt, to distract. His thumb presses the detonator. Nothing happens. He looks at the device. Presses again. Still nothing. Celine smiles grimly. I found your explosives last night. Disabled them this morning. Insurance policy. Yates's face twists with rage. He drops the detonator. Reaches for the sidearm on his hip. Celine is faster. She closes the distance in 2 strides. Her hand catches his wrist before the weapon clears the holster. She twists, applies pressure to the joint. The pistol clatters to the floor. Yates throws an elbow at her face. She ducks, drives her shoulder into his midsection. They crash against the wall. He is bigger, stronger, but she has been training for this moment for 7 years. She hooks his ankle, sweeps his foot. He goes down hard. Before he can recover, she pins his arm behind his back, knee on his spine, weight centered. Andrew Yates, you are under arrest for treason, espionage, and conspiracy to commit murder. Her voice is steady. You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say will be used against you. The door bursts open. Military police flood the room, and behind them, moving on adrenaline and instinct, is Gunnery Sergeant Reddick. He stopped running. He came back. Secure the prisoner, Celine orders. She rises, steps back, lets the MPs take over. Yates is hauled to his feet, cuffed, but he is still talking. This changes nothing. Ghostline is not a person, it is a network. Cut off one head and 2 more grow in its place. He laughs. You think you have won? You have just started a war you cannot finish. Celine walks up to him, close enough to see the hatred in his eyes. Then I will finish it one battle at a time. She nods to the MPs. Get him out of here. They drag him away. His threats echo down the corridor until a door slams shut and cuts them off. In the silence that follows, General Throne approaches Celine. Commander, that was... I do not have words. You do not need them, General. What I need is your continued support. Yates was right about one thing. This is just the beginning. Cross joins them. Her face is pale but determined. Whatever you need, resources, personnel, authority, you have it. I need access to his files, his communications, his contacts. Everything he touched for the past 20 years needs to be analyzed. You will have it. Celine looks at the door where Yates disappeared, then at Reddick, who stands awkwardly near the entrance, uncertain of his place. Sergeant, you came back. Yes, Commander. Why? He struggles for words. Because you were right about all of it, and because... He swallows. Because if I kept running, I would be just as guilty as he is. Celine studies him. The man who shoved her to the ground 9 days ago. The man who tried to destroy her career. The man who was a pawn in a game much larger than he understood. Your cooperation will be noted in the official report. What happens next depends on the investigation, but I will advocate for leniency. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me yet. We have a lot of work to do. The next 72 hours are chaos. Yates's arrest triggers a cascade of consequences. His files are seized, his communications are analyzed, his network is mapped, the scope of his betrayal is staggering. 15 years of intelligence leaks, dozens of operations compromised, hundreds of service members put at risk, at least 40 confirmed deaths that can be traced directly to information he sold, including the 12 members of Celine's unit, including her father. The investigation expands. Other suspects are identified, some flee, some are caught, some cooperate in exchange for reduced sentences. Reddick is among the cooperators. His testimony helps unravel 3 separate cells within the military infrastructure. He names names, provides dates, identifies drop points and communication protocols. He will face charges, that much is certain. But his cooperation earns him consideration. A military tribunal will determine his ultimate fate. On the fourth day, the first institutional changes begin. Colonel Hendricks implements new security protocols, enhanced vetting procedures, anonymous reporting channels, mandatory training on identifying and reporting suspicious activity. General Throne announces a comprehensive review of all intelligence operations conducted during Yates's tenure. Every mission, every asset, every decision, all of it will be examined for signs of compromise. General Cross personally oversees the establishment of a dedicated counterintelligence unit. Its mission, to hunt down the remaining members of the Ghost Line network wherever they hide. The base transforms. What was once a place of petty politics and power games becomes something more focused, more serious. The revelation that a traitor walked among them has shaken everyone. On the fifth day, Celine walks through the mess hall one final time. The room falls silent as she enters. But this time, the silence is not hostile. It is respectful. Every Marine present rises to their feet. Celine walks to the center of the room. The same spot where Reddick shoved her to the ground 10 days ago. The same spot where her journey on this base truly began. She surveys the faces around her, young and old, men and women, all of them standing at attention for a woman they once dismissed as weak. At ease, she says. They sit, but their eyes remain on her. Most of you do not know me. You knew a cover story, a civilian therapist who did not belong. She pauses. That woman was a tool, a means to an end. What I needed was access. What I needed was time. What I needed was for the people responsible for betraying this country to feel safe enough to make mistakes. She looks around the room. Some of you participated in making my time here difficult. Some of you followed orders from people you trusted. I do not hold that against you. Loyalty is not a flaw. Blind loyalty is. She lets that sink in. What happened here is a reminder that threats do not always come from outside. Sometimes the enemy wears the same uniform, speaks the same language, shares the same meals. The mess hall is utterly silent. Your job is to protect this country. My job is to protect you while you do it. That means hunting the people who would sell your lives for profit. That means going places you cannot go, doing things you cannot do. She straightens. I will not always be visible. I will not always be present, but I will always be working, and if anyone ever tries to compromise this base again... She does not finish the sentence. She does not need to. Ghost Line has been captured. The network is crumbling, but there are always more shadows to chase, more traitors to find. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and stay tuned for the next chapter, because Hollow Mirror is far from over. That evening, Celine meets with General Cross in the secure communications room. The older woman looks tired. The past few days have aged her visibly, but there is steel in her eyes that was not there before. Commander, I owe you an apology. For what, General? For not seeing it sooner. Yates and I served together for 15 years. I trusted him with my life, and the whole time... She shakes her head. The whole time he was selling us out. He was good at hiding. That is how he survived so long. That is not an excuse. I should have seen something, should have noticed something. Cross meets Celine's eyes. You did. Even with all his resources, all his connections, all his power, you found him. How? Celine considers the question. I stopped looking for evidence and started looking for patterns. Yates was careful about covering his tracks, but he could not hide who he was. His arrogance, his certainty that he was smarter than everyone around him. She pauses. People like that always underestimate their enemies, always assume they will not be caught. And eventually, that assumption becomes a weakness. And now? Now we follow the patterns he left behind. Every contact, every transaction, every communication. Somewhere in that data is the next link in the chain. Cross nods slowly. There is something you should see. She activates a screen on the wall. A file appears. Classified markings. A project designation. Hollow Mirror, Phase 2. This was found in Yates's personal files, heavily encrypted. We just finished breaking it open. Celine reads the summary. Her blood chills. Hollow Mirror was not a single operation. It was a long-term infiltration program. Phase 1 involved placing assets within military intelligence. Phase 2 involves something larger, something that has not yet been activated. What is Phase 2? Celine asks. We do not know. The file references coordinates, a timeline, a series of code names. Cross highlights a section of text. But one thing is clear. Whatever Phase 2 is, it is scheduled to begin soon, within the next few weeks. Celine stares at the coordinates. They point to another military installation, larger, more sensitive. I need to go there. I thought you might say that. Cross hands her a folder. Travel orders, clearance authorizations, everything you need. Celine takes the folder, weighs it in her hand. General, what Yates said about my father. Cross's expression softens. I knew your father. Not well, but enough. He was a good man, a dedicated officer. And yes, there were always questions about his death, questions that were never answered. Until now. Until now. Cross puts a hand on Celine's shoulder. Find the answers you need, Commander, and when you do, make them pay. Celine nods once, sharply. I intend to. The next morning, Celine prepares to leave the base. Her quarters are empty, her bags are packed, her mission is clear. A knock at the door interrupts her final check. Lieutenant Mercer stands in the doorway. He looks different than he did a week ago. More confident, more certain. Commander, I heard you are leaving. Word travels fast. I wanted to say, he hesitates. I wanted to say thank you for trusting me, for not treating me like a threat when I started asking questions. You asked the right questions, Lieutenant. That is rare. I also wanted to ask if... Another hesitation. If there is anything I can do to help with whatever comes next. Celine studies him. This young officer who saw what no one else saw, who questioned when everyone else accepted. There might be, but it would mean stepping into a world you cannot step back from, a world where the rules are different, where the enemies wear friendly faces. I understand. Do you? Because once you cross that line, everything changes. Your career, your relationships, your sense of who you can trust. Mercer meets her gaze steadily. Commander, I watched a traitor nearly destroy this base. I watched good people get manipulated, get hurt, get used. He straightens. If there is a way to stop that from happening again, I want to be part of it. Celine makes a decision. I will be in touch, Lieutenant, when the time is right. I will be ready. She shoulders her bag, walks past him toward the door. Commander? She turns. The night before you revealed yourself, in my office, when I asked who you really were. He pauses. You smiled, like you knew something I did not. What was it? What did you know? Celine considers the question, decides he has earned an honest answer. I knew that you were exactly what this base needed. Someone who still believed in finding the truth even when the truth was inconvenient. She meets his eyes. Hold on to that, Lieutenant. It is rarer than you think. She walks out before he can respond. The base gate, morning sun, a vehicle waiting to take her to the airfield. Celine pauses at the threshold, looks back at the building she has called home for the past 11 days. So much has changed. A traitor exposed, a network dismantled, a mission completed. But so much remains. Phase 2 is still out there. The coordinates on that file point to something larger, something more dangerous. The shadow war she has been fighting for 7 years is entering a new phase. And somewhere, in the depths of that shadow, more enemies are waiting. She turns back toward the vehicle. Reddick stands beside it. He is leaning on a crutch. His leg was injured during the chaos of Yates's arrest. Not seriously, but enough to require support. Sergeant, I did not expect to see you here. I wanted to... He struggles with the words. I wanted to apologize, properly, for everything. You already apologized. I know, but that was official. This is... He looks at the ground. This is personal. Celine waits. When I pushed you in the mess hall, I thought I was defending my territory, protecting the way things had always been. I did not know. He swallows. I did not know anything about you, about what was really happening, about what kind of person I had become. And now, Now I know, and I am ashamed. He meets her eyes. You saved my life. When Yates tried to blow up that room, you could have let me die. Would have been easier, cleaner, but you did not. That is not who I am. I know. That is what makes it worse. He straightens as much as his crutch allows. I am not asking for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I am just asking for a chance. To be better. To do better. Celine regards him for a long moment. The tribunal will determine your fate, Sergeant. I cannot change that. But I can tell you this. She steps closer. Everyone deserves a chance to be better. What they do with that chance is up to them. She extends her hand. Reddick stares at it, then reaches out and shakes it. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me. Prove me right. She releases his hand, walks to the vehicle, opens the door. Commander? Reddick calls out one last time. She pauses. Whoever Ghostline really is. Whoever is behind all of this. When you find them. Yes? He meets her eyes. Make them pay for all of us. Celine does not smile, does not nod. She simply looks at him with those calm, patient eyes that have seen so much death, so much betrayal, so much darkness. That is exactly what I intend to do. She gets into the vehicle. The door closes, the engine starts. As the base recedes in the rearview mirror, Celine opens her laptop. The encrypted file is waiting. Hollow Mirror, Phase 2. The coordinates pulse on the screen. A destination, a mission, a new chapter in a war that began 7 years ago and shows no sign of ending. She thinks about her father, about the truth she finally knows, about the justice she finally delivered to Yates. It is not enough. It will never be enough until every member of the network is exposed, until every traitor faces consequences, until the shadows that killed her unit, her father, and countless others are burned away by the light of accountability. Her phone buzzes. A message from an encrypted channel. Phase 2, assets in position, awaiting your arrival. She types a response. En route. ETA 6 hours. The vehicle accelerates toward the airfield, toward the next mission, toward the next shadow. Behind her, the base continues its transformation. New protocols, new vigilance, new awareness. The consequences of Yates's betrayal will echo for years, but those echoes will make the institution stronger, more resilient, harder to corrupt. Ahead of her, the unknown waits. More enemies, more secrets, more battles to fight in a war that never truly ends. Celine closes her laptop, leans back in her seat, closes her eyes. She allows herself exactly 60 seconds of rest. Then she opens her eyes and begins reviewing the mission brief for Phase 2. Justice does not sleep, and neither does she. Epilogue. 48 hours later. The secure server room at Camp Lejeune sits empty except for a single technician running routine maintenance. A notification appears on his screen. An automated flag. Someone accessed a restricted file. He checks the log. The file in question is marked Hollow Mirror, Archive. The access came from inside the base, from a terminal that should not have clearance. He reaches for his phone to report the anomaly. The lights go out. When they come back on, 3 seconds later, the notification is gone. The log is clean. The file shows no record of access. The technician blinks, looks at his screen. Everything appears normal. He shrugs, returns to his maintenance routine. Somewhere in the system, a hidden process continues running. A message is transmitted to an unknown destination. 4 words. SG-12 has left base. And in a location that exists on no official map, someone reads those words and begins making preparations. The hunt continues, on both sides.
Every soldier carry a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.